Hey, you know what? 40% of your happiness is preset by genetics. That means that 60% you and I are in complete control over. So, what does that mean? That means that whenever we're facing any type of situation, we have the choice to either let the emotions take over us and live in the past, which what happens when we live in the past is that we are rehashing the things that have happened to us or things that we're expecting to happen again. If you're living in the future, you become super anxious because you are anticipating what is coming, or you're wishing for things that, quite frankly, you can't control. So, how do you get around that? Happiness is the sweet spot of having the ability to use our mindset, our attitude, and just be realistic about looking at the situation that's before you. Whatever is causing you the moment to freak out, it's about taking a pause, taking 3 deep breaths to be able to just get yourself and get centered, and that look at the situation and go, what is it about this moment that has me freaking out, and using that mindset to go, what is it that I want? So, for example, 2 weekends ago, I had done my first candle sale because I'm a fantastic life coach, but I also have this sidekick because I love everything that has to do with candles and lotions and potions. And making candles is a way of me to use my creative energy and do something fun. So, my husband and I were at my first farmers market, and I set up the table and was setting up the candles and putting everything fabulous. And I get a phone call on Saturday morning from one of Zachary's team members. Now, as some of you know, Zachary is my son and he's autistic, and he lives in a group home about 10 minutes from me. So over the course of Friday evening, there was a vikare in Swedish, which means a temp who came in for the evening. And he doesn't necessarily know Zach's temperament or what to do with him when he gets aggravated or frustrated. And Zach at this exact moment has this new thing that when he gets ticked off or frustrated, he will throw himself to the ground, and he's 26, and he slams his face on the ground, which is not good. So the staff called in the morning. The physician had already come in the evening to check him out because he had he looked like a beluga whale for real. That was just this huge hematoma of a spot on his face. And they were taking him in the morning to get a CT scan, get a scan of his head to make sure that everything's okay, to make sure that he didn't have any hairline fractures in his face. And it was a moment. I immediately started freaking out, and my go-to message when it comes to anything that has to do with my son, because he lives in a group home and he's super happy, right? But as a mother, whenever something happens, it's like, if I was there, that would have never happened. I'm such a terrible mother. I suck. And I just started going into the past and rehashing these horrific things that, to be quite honest, aren't true. So I took a couple of deep breaths and I got myself centered, and I started asking questions. I'm like, okay, so you're going to the hospital today. Why is that? The doctor just wants to make sure that he hasn't done anything, that his brain isn't swelling, that, he doesn't have any hairline fractures, and to just double check that what he has on his face, that big thing, is a hematoma. Great. It's going to happen this morning. They already gave him a sedative. They will text me throughout the whole morning to let me know what's going on. They didn't want my presence there, and that they will call when they got home. So I was like, okay, great, that's true. Being in the present, understanding that he's completely taken care of and there's really nothing I can do. And I was like, okay, great. So then I went back to setting the table, and of course, emotions fled over me, and I started crying. And I was like, oh my God, why is this happening? Everything's okay. This blah, 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 blah. I just went in this whole tangent. And then I started to breathe. And I said, okay, this happened. He's in a good spot. He's being taken care of. There's nothing else I can do. It's Saturday morning. It's 8:30. Here I am doing something different. And what do I want out of this situation? What I want out of this situation is to focus on setting up my table and ensuring that everything goes well with the farmers market, keep my phone in my pocket so when the staff members call, I can be in complete communication with them. And my husband and I already created an exit strategy. So if I had to leave on a dime, that he would take care of the rest of the stuff in the table, and that everything was great. So once I was able to look at the reality of the moment, taking a couple of deep breaths and recognizing that this is what it is, it allowed me to get back to that happiness sweet spot, which is about being in the present. It's about recognizing that, hey, what did I want out of this moment was solved. And that, most importantly, Zach was going to be okay. So being in the present is where we will have the greatest control, where we feel the most at ease, and where happiness flourishes. So the sweet spot between happiness and the ability to live your life is to be in the present moment. So as you're going out into your day and you're recognizing, oh my goodness, I'm so depressed, instead of going, oh my goodness, I'm so depressed, stop and look at the situation and go, what is it that I'm rehashing? What is it that I'm feeling is going to happen again? And if you're stressed and anxious, stop. Take a couple of deep breaths and go, why am I feeling stressed and anxious? Is it because I'm anticipating something that's coming? Or am I wishing for things that aren't happening yet? Then stop that too and focus more on what is it that I want out of the situation, and then create that sweet spot of solving the problem and getting to what you want. I trust this helps.